Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for standing by. Welcome to Our Clinical Trials Right for You, information about accessing clinical trials conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Following the presentation, we will conduct a question and answer session. Instructions will be provided at that time for you to queue up for questions. If anyone has any difficulties hearing the conference, please press the star followed by 0 for operator assistance at any time. I would like to remind everyone that this conference call is being recorded on Wednesday, March 18th, 2009 at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and will now turn the conference over to Iris Pizon, Program Manager. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Ovarian Cancer Canada welcomes you to this session of our telephone education series for women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers. Today's sessions are Clinical Trials Right for You, information about accessing clinical trials will be given by Dr. Gavin Stewart and Monica Bacon, a registered nurse. Dr. Gavin Stewart is the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. He is currently the chair for the Gynecology Site Committee of the National Cancer Institute of Canada Clinical Trials Group. Monica Bacon is a registered nurse. After graduating from Royal Victoria's Hospital School of Nursing in Montreal in 1969, Monica Bacon spent 20 years caring for cancer patients. While working in the United States, she co-founded the Vermont Cancer Pain Relief Initiative. Since 1991, Monica has been a study coordinator at the National Cancer Institute of Canada Clinical Trials Group at the Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and has coordinated all aspects of national and international gynecologic cancer clinical trials. In 1993, Monica co-founded the Cancer Intergroup, a collaboration of 20 gynecological research groups from around the world. You want to know more about clinical trials for ovarian cancer, which new drugs are being tested, where are clinical trials held, what are the criteria to participate, how does a clinical trial work exactly, what can you expect if you take part in one. This teleconference provides you with this information and much more. I am Iris Pizon, Program Manager of Ovarian Cancer Canada. OCC endeavors to provide women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers the information that they need. We hope that you will find this session interesting and that you will address your questions to our speakers. To encourage listeners to ask questions, just give a first name. Feel free to provide the operator with an alias if you wish. The previous telephone education sessions are available on YouTube at youtube.com/Ovarian Cancer Canada, or for the French version at youtube.com/Ovar Canada. Videos have been posted in 10-minute segments and ordered in parts to make it easy for you to listen, and later return to where you left off. Please subscribe to YouTube. And I would also like to acknowledge Christine Lewis for her translation work today. A reminder to the speakers to speak slowly. Today, we are delighted that there are survivors, family members, and health professionals from across the country in the audience. We hope that you can help us with your feedback. An evaluation form will be sent to attendees via email or regular mail. And now, please welcome Dr. Gavin Stewart and Monica Bacon.
Thank you very much, Iris. This is Gavin Stewart, and I'm very pleased to be a participant in this telephone education program that you have coordinated for today. What I'd like to do is speak a little bit about clinical trials and the role that they play in meeting the needs of women affected by ovarian cancer. Then invite Monica Bacon, my colleague, to offer commentary as well, and then seek to open this to questions, as I'm quite sure that the questions that you would raise or issues that the audience would raise are of more interest than what I would have to say. So on that background, I believe that the group that are involved in this telephone education program are well aware of the impact of ovarian cancer. Unfortunately, we recognize that in 2008 it was estimated that there would be approximately 2,500 women in Canada who were newly diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So it certainly has an impact in terms of the incidence in Canada. Unfortunately, it's also estimated that up to 1,700 of those women would likely die of their disease. So we're dealing with a disease entity that is relatively common and also creates a major impact, not only in terms of coping with the disease, but also in terms of the poor outcomes that have been associated with this disease in the past. And that in and of itself is a key issue as to why we need to be offering management that is better and potentially different from what it is that we're doing today. So this conversation is really based upon how do we seek and offer those better or newer interventions than we have in the past. And if we accept that in the past there have been very effective treatments, interventions, or therapies, but we also have to be very clear that there is tremendous room to do this better. So clinical trials are essentially research studies that seek to understand how new medical interventions work in people. And I say that because sometimes persons will confuse clinical trials. Is that research? Well, yes, it is research. Research, very simply stated, is the generation of new knowledge. So research could be something that takes place in a laboratory. Research could be something that takes place in a focus group discussion with qualitative research, but we're generating new knowledge. What's unique about clinical trials is the clinical component means that this is affecting persons, and in the conversation we're having right now, those persons are women, and that trials are the framework that we use to answer those questions. And every clinical trial that we do has a formal, what we call a protocol, and the protocol is a very detailed statement of exactly how that clinical trial is constructed. So I will come back to that. So if we step back just for a moment, I would anticipate that many listeners on this conversation are interested in clinical trials that will improve the treatment of women affected by ovarian cancer. But I think it is important to recognize that clinical trials are not just about treatment. There are clinical trials in areas like prevention, and I think many of you will have read in popular magazines and articles about the use of different medications to prevent breast cancer or to prevent prostate cancer, whether that's dietary, whether it's with medicines or whatever else. But very often we will use the construct of a clinical trial to assess the opportunity to use a prevention intervention or treatment to see if that can actually prevent a disease. And that's a clinical trial as well. Secondly, we also recognize that there are clinical trials in the area of screening. So is it possible to actually detect women who are at risk or have ovarian cancer earlier than we may otherwise do? Most of the time now, most women will actually present with fairly advanced ovarian cancer. Most commonly, 3/4 of women who have ovarian cancer will present at what we call stage 3 disease. So is it possible through screening techniques to actually pick up that cancer growth in its earliest stages and treat it more effectively? And so that's a screening clinical trial. There are diagnostic clinical trials, which mean is there a better way of making a diagnosis? I will come back to it, but there are treatment clinical trials. But in addition to that, there are clinical trials that actually seek to generate new knowledge about the quality of life that patients or persons may experience either during or after treatment. The quality of life not only of the treatment, but in terms of persons surviving cancer, are there issues there that we need to better understand and provide support to? And then finally, there's a whole area of genetic clinical trials where one might actually look at whether there's opportunities to identify genetic one's genetic makeup and how that can affect detection, diagnosis, or response to cancer treatment. And I'll comment a little bit on that when I get a little bit later on.